Hey y'all, how you doing? It's Valerie here, and I garden in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains in Zone 6B. And today I'm going to be planting out some stock plants and some pansies and violas I started from seed. We planted these together, I want to say, sometime in February. The violas and the pansies are already starting to bloom, and the stock isn't yet, but I would like to go ahead and get it out in the garden. These have been sitting outside of my greenhouse hardening off, and last night the low was in the 20s, and they all look fine. So I want to get them in the ground because I feel like they would do better in the ground. If it were to drop that cold again, than they would just sitting out in their little containers. I'm going to turn you around real quick and show you what I'm about ready to plant, and then we'll get to planting them. Right there is my snapdragon. I keep saying snapdragon. Right there is my pansies and violas. And as you can see, some of them are already starting to bloom. And right there is the stock plants. I do have a couple different places I'm going to plant them. In this little area here, there's this little section where there's not really anything planted in it right now but weeds and some dead plants, like right behind these lilies here. I think I'm going to put a couple stock plants and then fill in the rest of it with pansies and violas. And then let's walk this way. The other place I'm thinking about planting some of the stock and violas is, I have this bed here, and in the front edge I'm thinking about planting the pansies and violas. And then back there I have some places behind my perennials that I'm thinking about putting some of the snapdragons. Keep calling them snapdragons. It's stock. I'm not planting snapdragons. I don't think I was recording, but I'm over here working, and I put a couple of stock plants here, and I'm filling in around them with these pansy plants. These are the ruffled feathers pansies.
Let me explain my temperament. Temperance mixed with indifference. A pinch of empathy with just a smidge of common sense, condensed into a hapless hippie mensch, pretending to spend on one winnings on imaginary friends. Madman given artistic license to apply changes and explain my many deranged statements to strangers in ways.
Okay, this is what this area looks like. I've got a cluster of stock here in the middle, and then all around it in this little area I have pansies. I think that's going to be really beautiful when it fills in and everything really starts to bloom. I'm going to be planting my stock along the back edge of this flower bed behind the daffodils and stuff. So I'm going to plant my stock first, and then I will do my violas and pansies.
That transcend the ignorance. I'm intent to cleanse dense trenches in which stubborn Karens sit. No offense intended to any Karen that's offended, but hey, Karen, thanks for listening. I intended to begin on a high note, but then I got high though, and this seemed like an opportunity to insert absurdity and wordily skirt the hurdles and burdensome curse of verse structure. But sure, it's form over function, scrunching a bunch of punchy funk, drumming over the thump of someone thumbing a bass, chased with the taste of hastily created tasteful verbalizations of lazy machinations, rending fences thrown up in the mental, venting pent-up energy surges on diversions and excursions to festivals and venues with vistas, and then disappearing into forested clearings. Sorry, I got distracted a bit.
Kind of hard to see. I can't get this camera, but I've got them all the way around the back side of this bed, and then I've got a little cluster here in this corner because there's nothing on this end. And then in the front of this bed, I'm going to go through now and take out any weeds and plant violas and pansies in between the other plants that I have growing there, because I do have a few perennials But in between those perennials, I'm going to stuff violas and pansies.
About the woods and shit, ran off at the lip and abandoned the script. I must admit that this is a task for which I'm ill-equipped. But shit, at least my drip's sick. With twisted hemp, wrist adornment, it's torment to be boring. So I'm ignoring your morals and socially normative conformity, sure to be remembered as the cool-tempered, simply uncensored, supersized guy who's a social butterfly that flutters by and beguiles eyes and
So now that I have these pansies all along the front, they're going to look really beautiful, especially once some of my other perennials fill in. We're going to go around here, and I'm going to do this part behind my greenhouse with my last few pansies. Let me set you down here.
It's by smiling, winding up, finding like-minded kind folks to share tokes and tell old jokes to new faces, getting blazed and erasing traces of impatience, taking in and remaking lackadaisical, hazy, wasted days, unfazed by the amazingly crazy ways daisies wave in the wind. But there I go again, waxing poetic to the end.
Okay, I'm going to try to turn this around and walk you around and see if I can get a good shot of what I just did. So I've got them all planted, and back here you can see all the stalk. All the pansies are in the front, and I've got stalk planted behind all of these because I have perennials here that stay shorter. Like you can see where the daffodils are. There's also other perennials that are just starting to come up, but they're shorter than the stalk. So I've got the stalk back behind all of this stuff. And all my pansies are planted here in front. I think it's going to look really beautiful. And it goes all the way around to that edge. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while I planted all those pansies in stock. They've been sitting out in front of my greenhouse, acclimating to the weather for several days now, and I just figured that they would be much happier in the ground than they would be just sitting on my deck. And they were. Those were some pretty nice roots on those. So I will say that they will also be happy to be able to spread their feet a little bit. I can't wait to show you this whenever all my plants are a little bigger and there are more blooms on everything. What I really want to say is I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.